Hi, I'm Phil Cosson. I'm the Clinical Director of Shaderware Limited, and I'd just like to take a few minutes of your time to talk you through the changes and the new exciting launch that we're going to have for version 4.2 of our flagship product, ProjectionVR. Before I do that, I just want to recap some of the changes that were made at the time we moved from version 3.3 to version 4. We did this in July 2010, and I just want to talk you through a few of those because I know some customers are still using version 3.3 and want to know whether it's worth upgrading to version 4 or not. So the first change between those two was the introduction of a single integrated executable file which had all the modules in it. So version 3.3, you actually bought which modules you thought were useful. Version 4 did away with all of that, and you have one integrated executable and all of those possibilities, plus the ability to X-ray a patient lying on a trolley, and another new exciting innovation which I'm going to share with you later on, are all bundled in the same product, and they can be accessed while you're running that product through the scenario menu. So that was one big change. The other big change that happened in 2010 was that we modified the click and drag interface to make it even less likely that you'd need to press a key, and we instigated something called the tool ribbon, which I'm going to show you in a minute, which allows you to pick the cassette, pick a side marker, collimate, and all the other practical functions in the X-ray room, all by the click of a mouse or the scroll of a scroll wheel. The other thing that we did, we took the opportunity to introduce grids, anti-scatter grids, out of the bucky. So you can now use an anti-scatter grid in the trolley trauma module, and we have two different types of anti-scatter grid that have slightly different features. And yes, you do get grid cutoff if you try and angle against the grid, which really extends the usefulness of the simulation in the curriculum. Behind the scenes, we took the opportunity to write out all the images in a DICOM format, and that's really exciting. It means that you can bring the patient all the way through the imaging cycle, from bringing the patient in and setting up the X-ray room all the way through to reviewing the images on the PACS system. But the largest single change between version 3.3 and version 4 is the introduction of the console. So I just want to show you a few of those things now. So the first thing I want to show you is the single executable. So we have this X-ray room executable, and we have a console executable. So bringing up the X-ray room, instead of having extra modules, we have a scenario button on the menu, and we can just see that all the scenarios are there. There's the recumbent, the erect, the head, and the trolley that all existed in version 3.3. And we now have one called lower limb, which is brand new for version 4.2. The tool ribbon allows us to drop cassettes on the tabletop, and we can apply letters and drag them around, all with a click of a mouse. We can then put the collimation on and just zoom in there and collimate and turn the light on and off, all from the tool ribbon. And there are other functions here as well. So the tool ribbons are really nice because it means that there's very few times when you have to press the keyboard anymore. Under the cassette choice, we can pick grids. So if we wanted to do a knee with a grid, we can use this carbon fibre grid on the receptor, or we can use an aluminium grid. So they have different functions, and you can teach the students about the different attenuation properties of those two materials. So that's really useful. And of course we get grid cutoff if we angle against the grid. But the largest single change was the generator console. Right, so you can see you can change the kilovoltage. You can go up in big or large steps. You can also change the MAS, and that also indicates that the MA and time are changing, but you can't change them independently. There's the big red exposure button. It's a two-stage button, so you can hover over it and go into prep, and if you click it then you get an exposure, and the exposure happens very quickly, as you can see. The image appears on the right hand side. But most people don't want to set an exposure that way manually. They want to be able to pick an examination off a menu from a database. So we've got an examination tab, which means that you can pick the area of investigation, the study, the projection, how the patient's positioned, and that will automatically populate the technical factors. When you actually hover over the button in real life, you'll get sounds that show you the stator motor running. Now the image that you're creating is automatically in the background being saved as a DICOM object. And here are some that we've done earlier that we're seeing in our PACS system. So all of those images can be sent, like they are in this particular institution, to a PACS server, and then the students can then pick them off the PACS server later and actually see them in a commercial DICOM viewer. We're showing you the Clear Canvas PACS server here, which is a free PACS server that you can download and install. And we're actually using it with Merger's eFilm workstation software, which is fully featured workstation software. So these images are not real radiographs. They're DICOM objects created by virtual radiography software. You can do all of the things that you can do with a normal workstation on them. You can zoom in, you can measure, you can change the way that you look at them, and you can window. So there we have it. These are the changes from version 3.3 to version 4. So I hope you like them, and we'd really like to be able to demo this to you. So please come to our website, email us, and we'd love to do a demo over the web. Thanks for listening.